You have always believed the same thing everyone else believes, that you need to be rich to start investing, that money grows for people who already have money, that $100 is a coffee run, a tank of gas, a Tuesday, not the beginning of anything. It's February 2016, you're 23 years old, standing behind the counter of a coffee shop in Denver, Colorado, wiping down the espresso machine at closing time. Your name tag says Shift Supervisor. Your paycheck says $13.50 an hour. After taxes, that's about $1,980 a month. Rent on your studio apartment takes $850 of it. The rest disappears into things you can't quite remember buying. You've heard people talk about the stock market the way people talk about a country they'll never visit. Interesting, irrelevant to you. Tonight, that changes. Not because of some grand plan, but because your phone buzzes with an ad, a green app icon, a headline that says you can start investing with spare change. You almost swipe it away. You don't. You download the app in the break room, sitting on an overturned milk crate, the smell of burnt espresso grounds still in your hair. It's called Stash. It asks you 3 questions: your age, your income, how you describe your risk tolerance, and then it shows you something called an S&P 500 fund. A little description underneath explains in plain language that it's 500 of the biggest companies in America bundled into one investment. Apple, Microsoft, Johnson & Johnson. Companies whose products are already in your kitchen, your phone, your bathroom cabinet. You link your checking account. Chase, the one with the $4.30 in overdraft fees from last month. You type in a number, 100. Your thumb hovers over the Invest button for 11 seconds. You count them, though you'll never admit that to anyone. You press it. March 3rd, 2016, 9:47 p.m. Your $100 buys you a fractional slice of the fund. 0.51 shares, the app tells you, because a single share costs $196.45, and you don't have that kind of money lying around. 99 cents of it disappears into a fee you didn't notice you agreed to. You lock your phone, you go back to wiping the counter, nothing about your life looks different. You still have $1,880 left to your name after rent. You still owe $340 on a credit card from your sister's birthday gift. But something small and quiet has happened that you don't have language for yet. You've stopped being someone who only spends money. You've become, in the smallest possible way, someone who owns something. You check the app the next morning, $100.06. You check it that afternoon, $99.81. You check it 3 more times before your shift ends, like you're waiting for a text back from someone who might not text back. This becomes a habit for 2 weeks. The checking, the tiny fluctuations, the strange anticlimax of watching 6 cents appear and disappear. You start to wonder if you did something wrong. If this is a scam dressed up in friendly green branding. If 99 other people online are getting rich while you watch numbers do nothing at all. By April, you've stopped checking every day. By May, you check once a week. By June, you almost forget the app exists until a Tuesday afternoon, restocking oat milk in the walk-in cooler, when you open it out of boredom and see something that stops you mid-motion. $118.40. You didn't add anything. You didn't do anything. The market, in its slow and boring way, went up 8.2% in 3.5 months. And your $100 grew right along with it, without you lifting a finger. You stand there in the cold air of the walk-in, holding a case of oat milk, doing math you've never cared about before. If $100 can become $118 by doing nothing, what happens if you don't stop at $100? By August 2016, you've made a decision nobody around you notices. Every Friday when your paycheck lands, you move $50 into the app before you let yourself see the number in your checking account. Automatic, non-negotiable. The way some people set aside money for rent, you set aside money for a version of yourself you haven't met yet. Your coworker Marcus thinks you're insane. Marcus is 26, makes about the same as you, and has a truck he's still paying off. $412 a month for the next 4 years. He gets his nails done Friday night energy from a fresh pair of Jordans every other paycheck. $190 a pop, boxes stacked in his closet he'll never open twice. When you tell him you're putting money in the stock market, he laughs, not meanly, just genuinely confused. With what money, he says, you make what I make. You don't have a clean answer for him. You just know that $50 a week doesn't feel like sacrifice when you don't watch it leave. It feels like nothing. until you check your app in October and see $612.90 sitting there, built from contributions and a market that quietly climbed another few percent through the fall. Marcus's truck is worth less every single month he owns it. Your $612.90 has never once asked you to make a payment. Neither of you says it out loud, but a gap has started to open between two people who make the exact same hourly wage. And it isn't about how much money you have. It's about which direction that money is moving. You don't know it yet, but the calm you've gotten used to is about to end. It's December 2018. Your account has grown to $2,340 through 2 years of steady $50 and $100 deposits, plus a small raise that bumped you to assistant manager at $16.75 an hour back in June. You've started to feel something you'd call confidence, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself. Then, over 18 trading days in December, the market falls apart. You open the app on Christmas Eve out of habit and your stomach drops. $2,340 has become $1,890. In real terms, the S&P 500 has fallen nearly 20% from its September high, the worst December for stocks since the Great Depression, and financial news anchors on the TV behind the coffee shop counter are using words like correction and bear market, like they're reading a weather report for a hurricane. You do the math instinctively, painfully. $450. Gone. Not on paper somewhere far away. Gone from your account, the one you check every week, the one that represents 2 years of Friday mornings when you chose the app over a night out. Your hands are cold and it's not from the walk-in cooler. You think about Marcus's Jordans sitting in his closet, worth exactly what they were worth yesterday, unaffected by anything happening on Wall Street. For the first time since March 2016, you wonder if you made a mistake. You don't sleep well that week. It's not just the money, it's the feeling of watching something you built quietly shrink while you stand there, powerless, unable to do anything but refresh a screen. You start drafting in your head the message you'd send to cancel your automatic deposits. Just pause it, you think, just until things calm down. You can always start again later when it feels safer. You almost do it on December 26th, sitting on your couch with a plate of leftover food, the app open, your thumb over the settings menu. Then you remember something your assistant manager mentioned once, half joking, about her own retirement account. That the only people who actually lose money in a crash are the ones who sell during it. That the drop only becomes real, permanent, irreversible, the moment you convert it from a number on a screen into cash in your hand. You don't fully understand the logic. You're not a finance person. You're someone who steams milk for a living, but something about it sits right with you. You close the settings menu, you leave the automatic deposit running. On December 31st, 2018, $50 leaves your checking account exactly like it has for over 2 years, buying shares while they're cheaper than they've been in months. Though you don't think of it that way, you just think of it as not breaking a promise to yourself. By February 2019, the market has already clawed back most of what it lost. By April, your account isn't just recovered. It's higher than it was before the crash, because every dollar you kept investing through December and January bought more shares at lower prices than the dollars you invested in the calm months before. You didn't know you were doing something smart. You just didn't quit. Something strange starts happening around the middle of 2019, something you can't quite explain to Marcus or your parents or anyone else who asks how the stock thing is going. The growth stops feeling linear. In your first year, $600 invested became about $618 by December. Modest, forgettable, easy to overlook. But now, in your fourth year, watching the same $600 monthly contribution pace, your account jumps by $310 in a single strong month without you adding a cent of new money. The gains aren't just coming from what you put in anymore. They're coming from gains earning gains. The returns from 2016 and 2017 generating their own returns in 2019, stacking on top of each other in a way that finally becomes visible instead of theoretical. You switched jobs in September 2019. Logistics coordinator at a regional distribution company, $19.50 an hour, better hours, actual health insurance. Your new salary lands around $40,600 a year. You roll your stash account into a proper brokerage, Fidelity this time, and bump your contribution to $200 a month, feeling almost embarrassed about how good it feels to see it compound faster. Then February 2020 arrives, and you learn for the second time exactly how fast the market can fall. Over 23 trading days, as the word pandemic starts appearing in every headline, the S&P 500 drops 34%. Your account, sitting at roughly $9,100 in mid-February, falls to around $6,000 by late March. It is, by dollar amount, the worst month you've ever had, but this time you don't reach for the settings menu. This time you already know how the story ends. You cross $10,000 on a Tuesday in November 2020, and nobody throws you a party. There's no notification, no confetti animation, no text from a friend saying congratulations. You notice it the same way you noticed $118.40 4 years earlier. Glancing at your phone on a break, standing in the loading dock of the distribution center, breath visible in the cold air. $10,240. You do a rough tally in your head of what you've actually put in. Somewhere around $8,400 across 4.5 years of $50, $100, and now $200 monthly deposits. The other $1,840 came from nowhere you can point to. No extra shift, no side hustle, no lottery ticket. Just time and a habit you almost broke twice. You think about the version of yourself standing in that break room in February 2016, thumb hovering over the invest button for 11 seconds. That version of you would not believe this number. That version of you thought $100 was too small to matter. You still don't feel rich. Your car has 121,000 miles on it. You're still splitting a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate to keep rent under $1,000. But for the first time, you notice something shift in the way you think about money. Not as something that only leaves your hands, but as something that can also work while you sleep. You wonder quietly what this number looks like in another 5 years. You have no idea yet how much life is about to get in the way of finding out. Life doesn't pause for your portfolio, and your portfolio doesn't pause for your life. In June 2021, you get promoted to operations supervisor. $52,000 a year, your first salaried position, your first W-2 with a number that makes your mother audibly gasp over the phone. You bump your monthly contribution to $350, split now between the S&P 500 fund and a target date retirement fund inside a new 401k your employer offers, with a 4% match you almost didn't realize was free money until a coworker explained it to you in the break room, the same way that Green App once explained an index fund. In March 2022, you proposed to the person you've been dating since 2019. The wedding in October costs $23,000. Most of it split between both families, $6,000 of it coming directly out of savings you kept separate from your investments, because somewhere along the way you learned the difference between money that grows and money that needs to stay liquid. That same year, the market falls again, a slow, grinding 25% decline through 2022, as inflation hits 9.1% and interest rates climb faster than they have in 40 years. Your account, now worth close to $34,000, drops to around $27,000 by October. You barely flinch. You've seen this movie twice already. You know how it ends if you stay in the theater. In February 2024, your car's transmission fails. A $2,900 repair you didn't see coming, paid entirely from your emergency fund, a separate account you built specifically so a bad Tuesday would never force you to sell a single share. You feel a strange, quiet pride writing the check, knowing your investments stayed completely untouched. By 2025, your household income, combined with your spouse's, crosses $94,000. You've started making $500 monthly contributions, occasionally more in strong bonus months. Your Fidelity account, your old stash turned brokerage account, and your 401k combined now sit north of $41,000. Somewhere in all of it, the promotion, the wedding, the transmission, the raises, you stopped thinking about investing as a thing you do. It became a thing you simply are. You still talk to Marcus sometimes. He works at the same distribution company now, moved over in 2021, makes close to what you make. Over the years, his truck got traded for a newer truck. The Jordans became a rotating collection worth, by his own rough guess, probably a few grand if I sold them, which I won't. He got married too, a beautiful ceremony you and your spouse drove 4 hours to attend. He's a good man, generous, hardworking, the kind of person who will cover your shift without being asked. But one night in early 2026 at a cookout in his backyard, he mentions offhand that he doesn't really have savings beyond what's in his checking account. that a $1,500 emergency would mean a credit card, and he's not totally sure how he'd pay it off. You don't say anything. It's not a competition. It's not something you feel proud about. You just notice quietly that 10 years ago, the two of you made almost identical incomes, and the only difference between where you're each standing tonight is a decision you made on an overturned milk crate in a coffee shop break room. One you almost reversed twice, one that never once required you to earn more money than he did. You drive home that night thinking about 11 seconds, how long you hesitated before pressing invest back in March 2016. How close you came to closing the app and forgetting about it, the way you'd forgotten about 100 other things that seemed important for exactly one Tuesday. It's March 2026, 10 years, almost to the day, since a green app icon appeared on your phone in a coffee shop break room. You open your Fidelity account on your lunch break, sitting in your car, engine running for the heat. The number staring back at you is $47,830. Built from contributions totaling somewhere around $31,000 across a decade, and roughly $16,800 that the market itself handed you for doing nothing but staying in the game. That first $100, the one you almost didn't invest, the one that felt too small to matter, it's worth $312 now. Tripled, more or less, while you weren't looking. But you understand something now that you didn't understand in that break room 10 years ago, thumb hovering over a button, 23 years old and certain that $100 was too small a number to change anything. The $100 was never the point. It could have been $20. It could have been $500. The exact number barely mattered at all. What mattered was that you pressed a button on a random Thursday and turned yourself quietly and without ceremony into someone who does this, someone who keeps doing it through crashes, through weddings, through transmission failures, through every reason the world hands you to stop. You didn't get rich from $100. You got rich, slowly, from never becoming someone who stopped. And somewhere out there tonight, in a break room you'll never see, someone else is holding their phone, staring at a green icon, thumb hovering over a button, certain that whatever amount they're about to type in is too small to matter. It isn't the number they should be worried about. It's whether they press it at all.